So my family and I, when we moved here to Minnesota and we decided that we were going to live on this sweet little lake, we went ahead and got a little speedboat and we go out and use it on the summer. But we are new to this whole like lake life sort of thing. And one day we were out on the lake in the morning. It was super fun. And then what we did is we took our little speedboat and we tied it up to our dock. We haven't yet purchased a lift to go with our boat. And so we tied it up to the dock and then we were going to go out later on that day. Later on that day, we decided, you know what, we weren't really in the mood to do any more boating. And so Ryan and I said it was time for us to take the boat out of the water. So he was going to pull the trailer around to the boat launch, and then I was going to drive our boat to the trailer. The fun fact about this day is that was the exact same day that I had first driven the boat for the first time. So I told him that I was going to go do it, that I could do it on my own, and I was going to meet him over on the boat launch. So I grabbed the keys off the counter and then I went down to the boat and I untied the boat from the dock and I jumped in, and as I'm sitting there trying to get situated, jumping in, I get the keys and I put them in the ignition and I couldn't get the boat to start. I called Ryan because, he's my support in this. And then I called him and I said, hey, I can't get the boat to start. And he said, well, I'll try and move the little shifty thing kind of in the middle, make sure it's in neutral. And I tried that. That didn't work. And I tried a couple of other things that he asked me to do. And all the time I'm trying this, what's happening is that the boat is now floating away from the dock. And it started to go all the way out into the middle of the lake. So rookie mistake number one, make sure the boat starts before you untie it and then start to drift. This week on the Daily Dose, we're talking about those times in lives where we have drifted off course, while we have kind of gone out to sea kind of on our own. And sometimes we know that we're doing it, but other times in our lives, it's just sort of this unconscious thing. And we wake up one day and we wonder the big question, how did I get here? It can happen because maybe we're so focused on one thing, like I was focused on trying to get the boat to start, that I didn't even pay attention to the fact that we were moving so much. Or it can be another thing where it can be like you're pointing at the wrong goal in your life. You're doing all of this hustling, but you just sort of seem to miss where you're trying to go. Maybe you're like me, and sometimes you're not paying attention to things in your life, like your relationships or your finances or your health or whatever it is. Sometimes our lives don't end up like we thought they would. Then we ask ourselves the big question, how did I get here? On the boat, I was talking to Ryan still, and I said, oh, I'm way far out in the middle of the lake. And so he says, Angie, drop the anchor. And so I went and I took the anchor out and I threw it over, and then the boat was secure. Here's the thing. I don't know about you, but I have never had a balanced life if I've tried. I've never had a balanced life. It's like as soon as things are starting to do okay, then something else over here derails. As soon as I feel like I have a focus on one area of my life, another area of my life just seems to turn into a big mess. The truth of it is that most of our lives are probably not as balanced as we would like them to be. Maybe we're not going in the direction that we intended to, but here's the other truth of it too. We do have an anchor. We have something to hold on to when we feel like our lives are lost or that we're drifting off of our purpose or our mission. God invites us to set an anchor. While we may be terrible keeping promises to ourselves, I am bad at keeping promises to myself. The truth is that God never ever breaks God's promises. God promised to Abraham and Sarah that they would have a child. God promised to be there for the Israelites as they left Egypt and wandered the desert for 40 years. The author of the book of Hebrews in the Bible writes it like this. He says, we have this hope in Jesus as an anchor for the soul, an anchor that's firm and secure. And while our lives may have drifted off of our intended purpose, or maybe our lives have drifted in a direction that we don't want, while we may be off balance, we're anchored. Whatever situation you find yourself in, wherever you've drifted off course, wherever you find yourself today, even if it's farther than you ever imagined that you would be, God is still with us, and God keeps God's promises as an anchor for our soul that is both firm and secure. And not only do we have an anchor when things kind of go wrong in our lives to stabilize us, but we also have the ability to get the heck out of there too. We have a compass. You see, God is constantly directing us back. And the ways that God does that might surprise you. Sometimes it's through little messages like a daily dose, but sometimes it's just through a nudge in your soul that something isn't right and something needs to be done about it. When we find ourselves wondering, what the heck are we doing here? I want you to know that you have an anchor and a compass, and God keeps God's promises to bring you back. Ryan parked the car and then came down to the dock, and he saw me out there anchored in the middle of the lake, and I was just waving to him. And he was trying to walk me through all the possibilities of things that it might possibly be. And then finally he looked at his face, he had this really inquisitive look, and he said, what keys did you grab off the counter? So I held up what I thought were the right keys. And he said, nope, those are the wrong boat keys. Those are the keys to like another part of the engine or something. I grabbed the wrong keys. So no wonder it didn't start. So he ran up to the house, got the right keys, told Sawyer to get his swimsuit on and swim out to his mom. And we pulled up the anchor. And together, Sawyer and I used the compass to direct ourselves right back to the boat launch where Ryan picked us up. Truth is, friends, whenever you're off path, whenever in your life you're not in alignment to either your goals or your purpose, or something just seems off and you wonder, how the heck did I get here? The truth is that God has got you. God is your anchor to ground you and your compass to direct you. Those are the right keys to be able to get to where you want to get to.